Good morning and welcome. Welcome to my live stream. You've joined me, Fight CPS with Bob Pace. I'm your host, and this is the morning live stream that broadcasts around the world. Yes, around the world. There's 23 countries that have participated in my live stream. One of them is the United States. And in the United States, I've talked to all 50 states, people from all 50 states, including even the District of Columbia. Now, I'm glad you found me on Facebook. Actually, I should stand corrected. I just realized that the District, uh, Washington, D.C., was formerly called the District of Columbia. I think they've taken away the District of Columbia, now call it Washington, D.C. So I stand corrected. I've been saying that wrong for a long time. And I am well aware of the kinds of problems you've had with an entity that I call the Child Protection System. Abbreviated short is CPS, the Child Protection System. It's a government entity that's found in every county in every state. It's also found in every country. Now, in the United States, Congress passed a law in 62 that officially named a group, the social services, to get a group of social workers together and form an agency within social services to protect our children from neglect and abuse and to do family reunification. Family reunification is so very much important. Too many children are being taken away or trafficked by rogue CPS entities who want nothing more than make money. It's $1 trillion business. So when I say CPS, I mean the Child Protection System found in your neck of the woods. They may have other names. I think they do that purposely to confuse people. It's like in LA County, it's called the Department of Family and Child Services. Now, it used to be called CPS, Child Protection Services, but they changed it. Now, in Orange County next door, it's called the Child Protection Services. But in Prescott, Arizona, it's called the Department of Children's Services. And why did I pick on Prescott, Arizona? Because I always think about that crazy place because in 2022, 8 social workers went on the rampage. Yes, the Department of Children's Services social workers with over 35 years experience thought it'd be smart and they bought pink t-shirts, not to support breast awareness, but to stencil a message on the front and the back. And on the front, it very proudly said, "We are professional kidnappers." Now, what kind of message do you think that tells to people? And on the back, they said, "Parents, you know where your children are at." Then they did something awful. They prayed around in the town in every big store, Costco, Walmart, Kmart, Best Buys, Target, Sears, J.C. Penney's, May Companies, Sam's. I'm trying to think of any other big store I left out. I don't want anybody to feel terrible about it. But anyway, they prayed around and sent a message. They thought it was funny. That's your caliber of people that are supposed to protect your children from neglect and abuse. And by the way, the neglect and abuse goes on all the time. Over 1,000 people every day are not reported that the children are being hurt physically or being neglected. So I'm here to help you all, come out of those woods that you're so densely lost in, not knowing where to turn or what to do. They went ahead and took your children because you didn't know your Constitution or civil rights. They went ahead and talked to you. They lie, they cheat. I don't know how else to say it. And I'm not saying this to all CPS. I'm talking about over the 1,800 people that have called in or text a message to me or participated in this room. A lot of people are regulars, and I really appreciate having them. It's really, really a nice group of people. And all the people that I've talked to in this room have been really pleasant. There's been a few people that have tried to come in and upset the room. I don't know what their advantage is, but anyway, long as you're pleasant and we talk about the child protection system, you're okay. But I will not tolerate any disrespectful or talking about other matters that don't pertain to the child protection system. Now, I'm on twice a day, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. and on the weekend at 8 a.m. And then at night, I'm on every night of the week at 7 p.m. Those times are the Pacific Standard Time. I'm on the West Coast of California. And I broadcast on StreamYard, which is the application I use, and I'm on YouTube. YouTube actually broadcasts me. StreamYard is the application. I can do many things with that. That. You can send me emojis. That's smiley faces, thumbs up, hearts, or you can send me a star. I'd love to hear from you. Now, there are 14 shows a week that I do month after month. I've been doing this since October 2023. That's a long time. That's 20 months. Pretty soon it's going to be over 24 months. It's going to be 2 years I've been doing this continuously, even on holidays. I'm here. I'm here for you to help you. I'm not an attorney. I'm a loving father, a man that cares a lot about people out there and wants to share my life skills with you. I have a lot to share with you. I've worked for over 60 years. And unfortunately, how I got involved in CPS was terrible. I was age 60 and I had 3 young children at the time. My 3 older children are grown up and have families of their own. A 4-year-old son, an 8-year-old girl, and a 14-year-old son. Now, these children each had their own bedroom. We had a beautiful home, a 2-story home with over 3,000 square feet. Each child had their bathroom and bedroom, and they were taking care of it. Their bedroom was their responsibility. And the rest of the home was wide open. We had lots of room. We had a family room. We had a breakfast nook. We had a formal dining room. We had a library study computer room and a guest bedroom downstairs and a bathroom downstairs and a big yard. We had English garden on the left, a walk-in rock pool in the backyard with a grotto jacuzzi and a vegetable garden and a tropical backyard. Then we had our dog runs with our Siberian Huskies. And it was a good place for the kids to grow up. We're close to a park, and we could go horseback riding. You could ride your own horse to the beach, or they used to. I don't think they allow the beach anymore, but you could ride your horse around your home and so forth. We're zoned for horses, and there was a horse ranch right here where I live. And it's all within a mile of the beach. There's a beautiful dog run. And as I said, the parks and the libraries. You couldn't ask. We could go fishing on the lake, or we could go to the ocean to go fishing at the pier. We had a main downtown area, and it's a small, quaint city south of Los Angeles. Anyway, CPS came into my life soon after I lost my job. How? Well, apparently, a layperson called in on us, my wife and I. And that layperson I didn't know at the time was my in-laws. Now, there are 2 kinds of people that report neglect, or abused, or the eyes of the reporters for the child protection system. The sad part is the way the child protection system is structured. As soon as someone calls in, whether a layperson or a professional reporter, they have to believe the story is true. So there's only court a law that you are guilty until you're proven innocent. And that's really hard. I mean, you should be innocent till you're proven guilty. And furthermore, it's a very corrupt what I was involved in. Orange County was corrupt. Prescott, Arizona was corrupt. LA County is corrupt. Riverside County is corrupt. San Bernardino County is corrupt. And so are a half a dozen other CPS, over 1,850 some people. That's 1,850 some CPS entities out there. Now, that's not half, but statistics has shown that last year we had 4.2 million cases called in, not by lay people, but by professional people. They're your doctors and lawyers and nurses and your teachers and your administrators, counselors, and policemen and firemen, etc. Anybody that deals with children at a professional level is required by law to take classes and know how to respond, how to locate abuse and neglect. If a child comes to school tattered clothing, dirty, disheveled, that's a sign of neglect. If a child comes to school with bruises on his face, cuts and sores, and think more than just knocking and playing sports, but that is abuse. So between abuse and neglect, that's what our government's supposed to protect our children. That's what social services is supposed to do it. Now, this child protection system, which is a social service provided by the Department of Health and boy, a Department of HSS to assist children believed to be neglected or abused by parents. This is the child welfare system. The child welfare system consists of the child protection systems. Now, of course, it has other names. The DSS, which is the Department of Social Services. And then sometimes it's called the Department of Children and Family, DCF. But whether you're saying the child welfare system or whether you're saying the child protection service and child protection system, I say system because there's too many different CPSs around. So it's easy for me to just say CPS. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Um, Now, I'm not talking about Department of Homeland Security. That's not what I'm talking about. Now, the DHS stands for the Department of Health and Human Services. Now, this department is responsible for implementing the federal child and family legislation supporting children delivery in systems. Now, how the child welfare system works. And I think it's important you know all this because you got to fight them. Now, the child welfare system, the CWS, we get all these different acronyms, typically receives and investigates reports of possible child abuse and neglect. It provides service to families needing assistance in the safety and care of their children. Arrange for children to live with relatives or with foster family when they're not safe at home. And that's one thing I want to emphasize. For some apparent reason, many of the CPS, think they have to take the children into foster care right away, and they're not in danger. My three children were not in danger. They were in school, and that was wrong. That was wrong, and they were taken. They were taken. And so I really want to emphasize that unless there is the child's in danger, and I mean in danger in the sense of where they're being hurt or abused or neglected to the point where if the child stays with the family, like if the family has no food, if the family has no roof over their head. Now, in shelters, they can be in shelters. It's not a crime to be low income. And it's so sad that the majority of the child protection system attack the low income people. Now, if you're temporarily homeless due to a disaster like a hurricane came in and flooded your neighborhood or washed your home down the river or your home burned to the ground, that's a natural cause. That's a natural disaster, and you're not supposed to be penalized. But too many, after the North Carolina hurricanes and South Carolina hurricanes, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Tennessee, Kentucky, that whole area that was hit by the Gulf, social workers were rounding up children saying, well, if you don't have a home, then you are being neglected to them, instead of maybe offering them a home. I don't understand. We have a new FEMA director. No one's ever talked about the idea of flying in temporary homes for people to live in. I don't understand what the rationale that they can't use the National Guard that has specialized helicopters that can take things under its belly and fly them and deposit them on garage aprons or maybe the home footprint or whatever the case would be. There's a driveway and a carport. They can put a motorhome, they can put an RV, they can put a mobile home, they can put a trailer, any of those things. They're sitting there in big lots collecting dust and dirt. Yes, they're a lot of money, but they're far a lot cheaper than putting someone up at $300 a night in a hotel for year after year. What they can do when they provide that FEMA has those kinds of disaster can move these homes in and hook up the existing utilities with them. And they can live them. They come contained with a kitchen. They're not their dream home or the home they want, but they're nice. That way they can rebuild their home if they have insurance or get low cost loans from FEMA to rebuild. The purpose is we need to help our people. What social service is supposed to do, or whatever name you want to dictate, they're supposed to help people, provide them food and shelter and clothing and education and medical and transportation and even offer them a job. That's what Social Security does. We have long time given people that come into the United States that are not citizens, we enroll them in a public school where their schooling's a lot better than where they came from. We give them clothing. We do at CalWorks in California. We get them a job. Now, the job may not be the state or type job, but it's a job that may pay 20, 25 bucks an hour. Now, a lot of you are working at places for $8 an hour. I just know in California that McDonald's is paying people $22 an hour just to be a cashier or food prep at McDonald's. That's good money. Of course, McDonald's has raised their price up. You used to be able to get a meal, one person meal for $5. When I first started with McDonald's, it was like $2.50. But now it's $10 to get a meal at McDonald's. $10. So that's why they've raised the wages. But also, people can't in California live on $10 an hour jobs. They have to be making $20 an hour jobs to live here. That's penny. That's terrible. Rent for one bedroom place is $3,000. A home is $2 million in Orange County, California. I mean, you can't find a $500,000. So California is where I live, and it's different than a lot of other states. But still, FEMA could help. The National Guard could help, but they don't. These people, we have this homeless problem. Now, why do we have the homeless problem? There's a lot of reasons behind it. But CPS should not be rounding up our children. They should be offering these people. So we need to protect our children from the neglect and abuse, but we also need to protect our children from abuse of social workers that commit crimes all the time. They commit crimes all the time. Good morning, Christina Reynoso. Glad to see you. Christina Reynoso is a loving mother from Las Vegas, Nevada, and she comes to our room all the time, and she spends a lot of her time trying to help out others in her own case. And so anyway, we're talking about a little bit about the health, welfare, and all the acronyms that seem to be very confusing out there. Now, the Department of Health and Human Services is responsible for the implementation of federal child and family legislation and supporting states in delivering child welfare system. Now, the child welfare system is that we've created this, and in each of the states and each county, the social services has created an entity, the child protection system. They want to make sure children are safe at home. And I'm all 100% about having parents, the children from parents, be taken if they're not safely at home. But to penalize the parents because they're low income is not wrong. They need to arrange for reunification. That should be the primary goal, because it's been studies shown that the biological parents are the best parents for reunification. You can't find a better parent than the biological mom and dad. Now, if they have hiccups in their life and they don't know how to change a diaper, or they don't know how to do a lot of things to take care of a child, they can take parenting classes. But this last week, I had a horrific incident where a family in Santa Clarita, California, had a 4-month-old child that her appendix was mistakenly taken out at the urgency of social services. Since when are social services all social workers doctors? Yes, some social workers are clinical psychiatrists, but not the kind of doctor that is medical doctor. These parents took their child to a pediatrician who told their child they need to go to the hospital. What's unfortunate now is a hospital are manned by social workers from CPS. They're there to jump on parents to take that child because they see a dollar ticket. Every time a child is born, there are social workers in a hospital. They're ready to pounce to take that baby the mother can't breastfeed. Now, there are things that do that. If a mother is taking drugs, that's harmful to the baby. She needs to be go through drug rehab and then reunite with her child. But to keep a child year after year away from a parent is cruelty. There is so much cruelty in the child protection system. I have a girl on here who is cruel. Her YouTube name is, but her real name is Felicia. She lives in Oxnard, California, and she's from Oxnard, and she's in her case of Ventura, California. Family members are undermining her, trying to steal her home. Her mother is missing. Her two babies she hadn't seen for almost 6 months. It's wrong what they're doing to her. It's wrong. People should be stepping in to help them. They need to help them. Now, people have been asking me, how is the child welfare system funded? Okay, let me see if I can explain that. Someone was talking to me. Oh, it was Cassandra from New York. Tony the Tiger is her YouTube name. Now, funding estimates for the child welfare program. This is from the federal government. Now, I only see $8,898 million for the fiscal 2017. 8,898. It's 8,898 million. So that's trillion. 8 trillion, 898 million. That's how much is allocated. 8 trillion. And that's in 2017. 8 trillion, 898 million. I can't comprehend that. 8.9 billion for child welfare programs. 7.8 billion for foster care and adoption system and kinship guardianship assistance, and 1.1 billion for other child welfare activities, services, and research. Now, I know that they got funded recently by $75 billion in this January. It was hidden by an act signed by President Biden on a Saturday. No one knew about it. Even the news reporters didn't know about it. I'm trying to get some current data here. It seems like the information is old, so I don't want to bring up stuff that's old. Okay. Hey, I was just talking about you, Cruel. Thank you for calling me Uncle Bob. And I'm doing okay, Christina Reynosa. You're asking about my birthday. It's November 16th. Okay. No reply on my email. Oh, I did want this recording this morning about indigenous. If you want, I can email it. Promise you to look at it. Yes, I will. I will look at it. I'd like to hear about the indigenous. I like to hear about the indigenous. Did what? Did what, Christina? I'm trying to explain the welfare system. There's so many different names. It's best just to stick with the CPS, acronym CPS. Because there's the Department of Health and Human Services. There is uh, uh, the Child Protection System, CPS. There's social services, which is supposed to implement all this. But the problem being is that we have lay people that are right 50% of the time. Of the 4.2 million people they reported of abuse or neglect, only about 2 million of them were false. There was nothing to investigate on them. 2 million, that's half. 4.2, little over half. And if the mandated reporters which use that, they're about 99% wrong. 99% wrong because they don't know how to report or how they use it for retaliation. I don't know if a lot of you know this, but if your neighbor's dog's barking, what the people don't do, they don't call the animal control and complain about barking dog. They think it's smart. Oh, I'll call CPS and tell a story and that will get some reaction. The problem we in is CPS is the only entity I know that is an ambulance chaser, meaning that they're ready to go when they get a call. They say, oh, that must be true. And they want to go out and they want to knock on your door. They want to walk in. They don't ask for permission. And they're accompanied by a law enforcement officer who's wearing his battle fatigues. It looks very intimidating. The purpose, the sole purpose of the policeman with the social worker is to protect the social worker from harm, not to enforce CPS rules or regulations, not to force their own, not to be power hungry. In fact, a lot of not all policemen are rogue or bad, and they will shoot you dead on the spot. I can think of 10 or 15 cases in the last couple of years. The most recent one for me was a Gainesville airman in the United States Air Force, black man, age 25. Or no, I think he was 23. On May 3rd of the last year, 2024, he was shot 5 times in the chest and died talking on FaceTime with his fiancée. How do you think she's feeling when he's dying? And this Gainesville sheriff had the mistaken apartment. He thought he was doing domestic violence, and this guy was talking on the phone. Now, there was a little thing I need to tell you. This airman did have a gun. He's licensed to carry firearms, but it was pointed at the ground when he opened the door. So that did not show a threat to the officer. But the officer, instead of maybe peering down low or going around a corner, stood front in the door, took his revolver out, and shot 5 times in the guy's chest. He could have shot the guy in the foot and then scooted the gun away or something. I don't know. Because a couple days ago, a policeman was brutally ambushed and killed. A young policeman in the LA area, California. So I know what it is to be a policeman. When I was an ocean lifeguard, I did take police training because I had to do arrests on the beach. I had to know some techniques of arresting people, and we were taught using our rescue cans of how to subdue somebody, especially if they're drunk or overdosed on drugs, because we dealt with the public there. But anyway, I took a lot of police classes. I'm also paramedically trained. I went up to paramedic level of first aid. So I could do just like what paramedics do. So I have that knowledge. But in the police training, you're supposed to be very proud to serve the public and to protect the public, not kill them. There's a black lady a year ago shot in the face, again, 5 times. I don't know what this thing is about 5 times. How many times can you kill somebody 5 times? So what I'm recommending you do, my rule number 4 is don't open the door. You don't have to open the door because they have to have only 3 ways to get in your home. They have to have a warrant, and it could be a warrant for a promise to appear that you didn't appear, or it could be a warrant to enter the home, or a warrant to speak to you, or a warrant to take your child. But it's got to be specific directions. Thank you, Christina. What beach? Uh, what beach did I say? Beach, beach, beach. Um, I don't think I mentioned a beach. I was talking about a black lady that was shot in the face 5 times. It was so sad. Is the deputy with the sheriff asked the sheriff, "Shall I get my first aid kit?" And the sheriff kind of smirked, said, "No, she's dead." That's the kind of individuals you have in uniform. Not all policemen are bad, but there's enough of them around to make bad names for everybody. So you got to be careful out there. Hide in your closet. Put your head behind, your hands over your head. They won't shoot you. They won't break in your home. They only break in your home if they hear a child in danger. If a child's screaming or being hurt, they will break in. And if they have a warrant, they have to serve you the warrant. They can leave the warrant outside the door or slide underneath the door if you have space underneath there. But the warrants that they've been producing lately are bogus. They're fake. They're not real. And you're saying, why am I saying this? Because the 1,850 some people that have talked to me have said this. I also know it firsthand. I too was a terrible victim of CPS. My life was turned upside down. My family was broken apart. I could not get a job. I lost my forever home to them. I could go on and on. They brainwashed my 12-year-old daughter to emancipate from the parents because of retaliation, because a social worker was caught on the stand committing perjury. She lied. It's my goodness. I did not believe that social workers could lie, but I never saw so much lying taking place. You tell them that you're a part of a Native American tribe, you're 25% Indian. They ignored you. There's a thing called the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1978 that basically told that CPS workers had to investigate, see whether that they are registered as part of that tribe or could be registered. Now, if you have 25% Indian blood in you, you most likely are eligible to be registered with the tribe. And that is a simple thing where you registered with the tribe. And once you've verified that you are a member of the tribe, CPS immediately deposits the children with the tribe. The tribe on the reservations take care of it. Okay, going to do that right now, Christina. Hold on. This is about the indigenous, the Native American Indians in the United States are the First Nation Indians in Canada. Okay. All right. Yeah, geez. Okay. This is genealogical documentation of direct Spanish colonial ancestries, um, demonstrating a broken image to Spanish colonial families who settled in Nuevo Mexico during the Spanish Empire. This lineage established legitimate Spanish heritage through documented families spanning over 330 years. Wow, that's pretty interesting here. Now, this is a further email for her. Um, your ancestries with the Spanish, but the Spanish are not considered indigenous people in the United States. Only the Native American Indians are. And you have to be a Native American Indian. So I'm confused, Christina Reynosa, because I thought, oh, what beach has an ocean lifeguard? Huntington Beach. Virginia Beach are the two of the main beaches that I was an ocean lifeguard. Huntington Beach and Virginia Beach. Um, but I'm confused, Christina, um, because the Spanish descent is not. Yes, I did open it. I did open them, both of them, all of them. You sent me three of them today, or two of them today, two today and one yesterday. Documents the claims of direct descendant from Christopher Columbus. Wow, you have royalty in you. But see, what the trouble with Christopher Columbus, he's a Spaniard. He didn't discover North America. The first people to discover North America were the Native American Indians. They were the first immigrant that came via the land bridge up in Alaska. Then came the Vikings. The Vikings were the second group. And then, 800 years later, almost 1,000 years later, came the rest of the Europeans. You had the Pilgrims from England. You had the Dutch. You had the French. You had the German. You had the Irish. And you had the Scottish. You had all these people, the Portuguese, all came to North America. And some of them went to South America and in the Mexico area. Now, these people were Europeans. Yeah, I read the last one there, the one that you sent me there. It says the Spanish Americans' heritage claims. And I'm so glad that you have connection to Christopher Columbus. But I don't think he's a very honorable man because he did horrible things to the people in the Caribbeans. He did horrible things. Aztec royalty. Okay. In a roundabout way, but see, the federal government, the United States, does not recognize the Incas, the Aztecs, the Mayans, the Oltums, all the different kinds of tribes that were Spanish intermixed with Indians. The Lakota Sioux, the Apache, the Crow, the Arapaho, the Navajo, they all went south. And they met Spaniards, and Spaniards and Indians had families, and that's where the Mexicans came from. The Mexicans and the Aztecs, the Incas, and so forth. Because there's been a lot of migration. In fact, the other day I was looking at my migration. But the way that CPS recognizes, they recognize 548 Native American Indian tribes in the U.S. Canada has a similar program. They're people called the First Nation, but it's not the French. They have a lot of French in Canada. They have a lot of English, England there. So the benefits of the CPS program to put people on reservations is only for the Native American Indians. The Native American Indians are their ancestors. Well, I love to give you feedback, Christina, but this heritage is quite interesting. A lot of work went into this. And especially the part about the Aztec imperial sovereignty. Especially the UN. I like that part. Boy, Columbus did start a lot of things, I guess, with the natives. I guess. Um, but that'd be up to Mexico whether they have their CPS program implement a program like the program in the United States. But I'm talking about, they've found 300,000 years ago people living in North America. You see, we have people that came over here a long time, even before what we call the Lakota Sioux or the Crow. There's been a lot of evolution of people. And there's been many times migrations. Migrations have come from Europe and from Africa over to North America and South America. And then from North America, migrations went south to South America. And then from South America, they went in the South Pacific. The Kon-Tiki expedition demonstrated that you could sell raft from South America to the islands in the Pacific. The Raw expedition showed that you can sell a reed boat from Africa to South America. Civilization started in Africa and branched outward, branched north to Asia. People branched out from Africa. Africa is where I think the oldest living person they've found, somebody that is so old is unbelievable, a Homo sapien. Anyway, there's been all kinds of people here, and I don't really want to spend a lot of time talking about this because I need to talk about CPS. I need to talk about CPS. So when I was talking about the ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Indian Act of 1978, that was mandated that social workers turn over Indian children or heritage of Indian children to the tribe on the reservation so that they could be neglected. Because for a long time, see, in 1875, the Native American Indians were rounded up by the people in the United States. The people in the United States said they weren't civilized and they couldn't live with them, which is a shame because they were there first. So they put them on reservations, which became federal land. The problem is a lot of the reservations, the land could not be farmed. It was barren. It was not fit. Oklahoma was one of the places. You know, the Native American Indians are very good about their families. Now, I know this from firsthand experience because I was with the Lakota Sioux in Rosebud, South Dakota. And I saw how CPS worked on the reservation. They do help out families. But in 1875, children were rounded up and put into private schools, and then they were adopted out. The kids never came back to their Indian families, not until 1978 when that law was passed. For over 100 years, from 1875 to 1978, that's 103 years, Native American children were abused. They still are today. They're the number one abused child in America. The number two is the black child. And that is a shame just because of the color of your skin. There are more black children than any other race that is false about there. So 50% of the time, a child under the age of 18 that's black will experience CPS. 50% of the time. So if you have 100 black children, 50 children will be exposed to CPS by the time they reach 18. Now, most of the abuse that happens in our country is neglect. About 3/4 of the cases are neglect and 1/4 are abuse. Now, abuse comes in all kinds of horrific stories. I mean, in the news lately, there's been horrific stories about a boy being tortured and about parents being convicted. Yes, abuse does get the limelight because people like sensational stories. No one's going to listen to the Boy Scout that helps the little lady across the street. But if someone is raped or tortured or miserable, they're going to read the news. Sensationalized news sells. Good deeds don't. And so with the Child Protection Agency, you're going to hear about those stories, but they're far and few. But we need to help our parents do family reunification. Now, in 1994, we had a terrible time with President Bill Clinton. Or was it 1997? It was 97, where he signed into law what was called the Incentive Act, where child protection system rewarded $35,000 if they adopt a child into foster care. There was a push for foster care because family unification took too long in 1997. I think it's been turning back to now. We have a new law that was passed in January this year that allows kinship to be involved. You know, your grandparents, your grandmother and father, and all your aunts and uncles, things, they're all part of family. Any child that has to be taken from the home should be placed with them, not in foster care. Foster care, there are good foster care mothers and fathers, but there's also bad ones. There's bad ones. There's one that comes on our show regularly, Betty. She all the time. Yes, I will, Christina. I will look at it. But I have to deal with my show parameters. You see, I need to talk about CPS. That history that you put together, the geology is excellent. And that's for my own personal reading. And I'll read that. And I will give you comments and help you on that. That's work well written and take a lot of your time. But I need to help out people, that are wrongfully accused medically. I mean, that family, luckily, they listened to me. They got a continuance for one day. They popped in with a good attorney, and the judge's face was horrible 2 Fridays ago. Or was it last Friday? I get confused. Yeah, it was last Friday. Last Friday, they heard the case, and now they're on the road to recovery. But the child still lost his appendix thanks to a social worker. There's a perfect lawsuit there, too. Malpractice. Social workers are not doctors. You got to be really careful when you're talking to them. You need to do one thing important is look at the background of your social worker. If you receive paperwork from anybody regarding a legal matter, the first thing you should do is go to the internet, type in your city and state, and if it's a CPS matter, put CPS after it, and then put your question. Who is Joe Smith? Who is Tom George? And you learn the background of the judges and everything. You need to prepare. It's like a battle. You have to understand facing CPS is like a battle. You need to know who your adversaries are. You need to know who the director is, how the program, has there been any cases against this program? Also, if you take a court-appointed judge because you have no money, you need not a judge, but a court-appointed lawyer, you need to check them out. You need to check them out. I tell everybody the kind of law that you're in is juvenile law, family law, and dependency law, not criminal law. We're not here to talk about criminal law matters. Now, the police can charge criminal law, but they do criminal law. CPS does not do criminal law. They do dependency law. Anyway, I've been talking for a good hour. It's 11 o'clock, and my show time ends at 11 o'clock. And sometimes we're running a little bit over, especially if we have questions and things in. Um, anyway, I see a squirty face, Christina Reynosa. I'm so sorry. I want you to be happy. Put a smile on your face. I want to thank Christina Reynosa for coming here and sharing what she's shared to me. Thank you, Cruel, for coming in here. You're two of my regulars that I value very much. I didn't have anybody really talk today, and um, I would really like you to encourage you to be a guest on my podcast or call in. I'll be on tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, I'm going to end the show with a message from my attorney, Vincent W. Davis. He's a great attorney. He has 39 years of fighting CPS. He is licensed in school in areas of juvenile law, family law, dependency law. And he can be reached at the number 888-6582. And you talk to reception. Make sure you tell reception Bob Pace sent you. And when you see Mr. Davis, tell him also. He's a former foster child himself, so he knows the foster system. So he's the kind of attorney you want. And if you want him, call me between the hours of 8 in the morning to 10 o'clock, and from 11 to 1 o'clock. I will take your call to help you get Mr. Davis, to hire Mr. Davis, okay? Call the number 626-698-0990. During my show times, you can call that number. A lot of you have it. You can text on that number too. But I want you all to keep fighting for your kids. Don't give up. Don't have that discouraged look. Have a happy face. God bless you. And I'll see you all tonight at 7 p.m.
A vivid picture is encrypted in your mind as the critics get in line like they're witnessing a crime. But then you notice there's a shiver in your spine from the feelings of discontentment and bitterness combined. Heartbroken when you listen to the judges, another kid's innocence corrupted. And if you go against it, it's destructive. Consider this predicament the toughest, but we believe in a system fit for justice. Child Protective Services only pretends to save it. The one solution for this is worthy of instant praises. 30 years of experience with relentless cases. Allow me to introduce them. This is Vincent Davis, defending you when they don't think a mother fits the role. Is it juvenile dependency or government control? Observe the pain in their eyes. It's time for us to realize we are the last ones left.